Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to build on the Ignis class. This is a full build video, so I will be sitting with you here and doing some commenting after the fact. So, the Ignis class, this cruiser, is for the Sword of the Ecclesiarchy fleet, which participated in the Promethean Directive. And when this video is uploaded, the Ignis class will be available on Steam Workshop for public download as well. So you can see we are making the classical imperial shape of the front of the ship, which is basically this kind of plow shape. And we're having 1 meter of wood and then some metal after that, because when we were building the Ignis class, we did know that some of the enemies were using some very scary drills, which could come from beneath. So we also had that, and that's why we can't make them too thin on the bottom. We need to have some type of armor. Not that that would help much, but you know, feels better, I guess. So the Ignis class is going to be like, it was built to be the cruiser that was gonna be the backbone of the Sword of the Ecclesiarchy fleet. So it was really supposed to be an effective DPS dealer. This thing would be able to be mass produced, not being too expensive, and just deal a lot of damage basically. So for the Ignis class, we're gonna see a little bit later what type of weapon systems we opted for. But in the Promethean Directive, which is basically a risk-like minigame-ish, it's basically a tabletop role-playing game, but it just happens to use From the Depth as the medium. And even if the ships do fight in-game and stuff like that for reals, it's also, you know, it's like you have points and you have to spend resources, and it's not only materials. There is like old From the Depth where you had different types of resources. Anyways, you could see I rounded off the bottom of the hull there, and that was to make a little line to make torpedoes not reach as deep. And now we have opened up some holes, and we will now be making areas where we can mount propellers, because we it's gonna be pretty likely we need to have active up props to make it float. Maybe we'll see, but we definitely need to have roll, pitch, stabilization on the ship, so it's actually stable and won't fall over or anything like that. So that is why we are adding some neat little propellers there, and there you could really see the ridge going down from the sides here, and that is because we really want it to, yeah, if you see like here, yeah, like here and here, that's to stop torpedoes from going too deep. We're just using some ducts and pasting them down as a deco on the propeller pieces so that they will form a nice little ring around it, looking very splendid indeed. Our base plate, so to say, is like 20,000 materials, and yeah, we're using metal and wood a lot here to really try to make it good armor and cost-effective armor. We don't want to spend too much material on the armor. We are really trying to make a, like, for all intents and purposes, a pretty min-maxed ship. So to keep explosive damage, you know, missiles, torpedoes, and explosive crams or APS and stuff like that won't penetrate deep, we want to keep the explosive stuff and impact and stuff, plasma too, near the surface. So we're having a pretty big air gap to the sides here, where it's just gonna be airspace. And we have 2 meters of metal. I'm gonna back it up with 1 meter of wood. So we have kind of a spall liner if anyone would spam Hesh. You've probably seen my empirical testing videos on if you need a spall liner or not, and you may indeed do that. Now we're trying to do some coping making the shapes look smooth and nice. I think that went pretty well. Upping my game in hull shaping here, I think. Now this was built a little time ago, of course, because you know, Promethean Directive has ended. But better late than never, and it's pretty up to date to like the newest, hottest ship designs I'm making anyways. This is a modern ship, especially since our faction members Robot Stellar and Witch Doctor did help with upgrading and fixing potential issues with this ship and battle testing and all that. So the glory is not all mine. It is a team effort of building all of the designs in the Promethean Directive. So usually like one person builds the design mainly, and then the other persons look over it and see that it's good. We're using a little bit of cross-hatching here for the beams to make it like extra hard to penetrate, I guess, for penetrative stuff. So we're really wood metal maxing here. I think maybe if you've been on the GMODISM channel for a long time, you have seen, yeah, 46,000 now. We're gonna use the Fort SA Model 9's cannons here, but what I wanted to say, if you've been on the channel for a long time, you know that wood and metal is a really good armor combo when you back them up with each other like that. It's very good stats-wise, you know. So the Ford Model 9 67mm cannon, and it's 67mm because I happen to made a merch water bottle that looks like an ammo shell, and I measured it and it's 67mm, so that's why I think it's a fun thing. when I was building the Ignis class cruiser here, the Ford SA gun was really hot. You do recognize it, I hope, from the Fafnir class. The Fafnir class has, I think it's 2 of the long Fort SAs and 2 of the shorter Fort SAs. This only has the shorter variant, which is of course much less powerful. But you're gonna see in the end here that the Fort SA Witch Doctor wasn't too happy about the Tetris. And it shouldn't have been. It wasn't that good Tetris, you know, so they were upgraded. They're also in the files, by the way. If you're a commissioned officer in the army of GMODISM, then you have access to both the original Fort SA and the upgraded versions as well. Yeah, so now we're making interior armor, basically. We want to have it as a separate layer, and we're choosing metal here for some interior armor. I believe I had to swap this out with alloy later because of flotation. But that's why I also colored it clear blue, because when we have a strong color on it like that, it's very simple to just swap it out for another material with using the replacement armor thing stuff, which is available. By the way, the Promethean Directive bans EMP, just, you know, straight away. It doesn't use EMP. So EMP stuff is not a consideration when we're building ships for the Sword of the Ecclesiarchy. If you would like to defeat designs in the Sword of the Ecclesiarchy, well, I guess using EMP is your best bet, because they are not really optimized for that. At least not the ones in the fleet that were for the Promethean Directive. So now we're just adding a couple of nice small catchers to beef up the armor. And we're choosing metal because we don't really want the weight from heavy armor here. We're trying to keep it pretty light and nice. Just fill the area so it's going pretty quickly. And we have a full air gap here, and if you don't know why you should have a full air gap, Please watch my tutorial about that. Yeah. Also my shipbuilding guide. So we're using some active flotation here with the help of some water pumps. We're not entirely going to rely on them, but we are going to use them. Again, they are EMP susceptible, but there is no EMP in this, so that's absolutely fine. And the funny thing with water pumps is that you can actually set them up to like pitch roll, and yeah, basically you can set them up in order to answer to different commands, so you can actually stabilize your ship with water pumps. In the little green box there, I actually built not the ammo. I built a. Yeah, now I'm removing the surge protectors because they cost money and they are just useless. So we're gonna swap everything that is rubber to metal because we don't need the EMP insulation. And here in the green box, as I was going to say, this is our AI core, and it's just on heavy armor because again, the EMP insulation is unnecessary in this case. We're gonna use the Army of GMODISM mice core, and that is a very nice little thing which you can have if you are in the Ecclesiarchy. No, not the Ecclesiarchy, everything but the Ecclesiarchy. If you're the government of GMODISM or commissioned officer via Patreon, you have access to all of my files, and that little AI thing, it's one of the like collections I have. Anyways, we're gonna swap some metal here with alloy color 0, as you can see, and that is to improve the flotation. So you can see all of the uncolored metal blocks, like in the turret armor and stuff like that, is now alloy, and that's to make it lighter. We're adding a couple of fuel tanks, and it's very important to keep the fuel tanks under the waterline because then when they are destroyed, they won't really create the fire at all, and that's very good because fires are scary. We're also putting some ammo all around the place, trying to not make them chain react, trying to keep them a bit protected, but also just some blast shields in between so that they won't chain react. But we want to spread them out basically so that they are not causing any issues. Having ammunition under the ship like that, it's basically under solid armor block, so there's basically no risk of anything scary really happening with it. Alright, now we're setting it up to keep full power but keep really low materials. Why do we keep only 20% of materials, you may ask? Well, it turns out if a smaller percentage of your materials is filled, the explosiveness of ammo scales accordingly, and also the burniness of fuel. So yeah, I have an empirical testing video about that too, if you want to check it out. I decided to use one of my flamers here as a kind of extra weapon in case we have any flyers getting close or anything like that. The template I used was pretty small, however, so I'm basically just here making a longer version. And to do that, I just copied the turret head, moved it upwards, delete all untethered deco, and then just adding fuel, like flamer fuel stuff, just like that. Very simple. If you ever wanted to make a longer turret of a turret you already have, that's how to do it. Just copy the head and then do it like that. I'm gonna set it to channel 2 because channel 2 is gonna be prioritizing close, small aircraft things, which you might imagine is tactical nukes, drills, Have you seen the TEDx pattern drill that we made for the Sword of the Ecclesiarchy? Co-member Graver made that design, and why I didn't mention Graver before, but because he had to jump off to help the organizers, Miser Luke and the others, to actually organize the entire thing. So yeah, that when we started this little thing, it was me and Graver who started this design. I just really loved his aesthetics, and I thought like, man, that you know, Gothic architecture type of ship design you're using, that's kind of really a aesthetic I really like. And I also build stuff with this. I also make the like Empire of GMODISM be in this style. Do you want to team up? And yeah, and that's where it started. But then he had to work again for making the event run. Here we have some ACBs controlling decoys and shields so that we're not burning materials when we don't need to. Yeah, and here we are having fresh results. This is the newest, hottest, best way to set up interceptors. I have empirical testing videos about that too, but this is one of the first ships that actually got to use the new templates. So they are reverse launch, they can hit cram shells incoming very reliably. It's a very cool system. Variable thruster like that, you know, you can check the empirical testing video or just post the video and look at the values there if you want to have some killer interceptors. Really, like they can shoot at like if you get shot by cram shells, it can do it. That's pretty cool, man. Well, in any case, we tried to make some armored compartments for them and all the other stuff. We tried to spread out the materials and stuff like that. We really wanted to be resilient. We really wanted to be able to take a lot of beating and still be able to perform in battle. This is going up in tournament, you know, not tournament, but like actual battles with other factions. And me and Graver, we decided that we wanted to be a high-tech, high-meta faction. And that puts you in a very scary situation where you will be basically fighting all the other scary min-maxing factions on the same terms, kind of. So it's pretty scary, you know. When you're using a high-tech, high-meta faction, you can't... Like, you're basically relying more on the effectiveness on your ship and less on cool tech points and like tabletop role-playing stuff, I guess. And you know, it's not a spoiler because the Promethean directive is long since over. It went really well for our faction. We didn't have time to reach world domination, unfortunately. But we really survived. We didn't get too beaten up. We really, yeah. Oh shit! I'm sorry. This is the Renovatur maybe cruiser actually. I may have. I don't know, man. I don't know. Is it? Maybe we changed the. I don't know. We'll see what the ship is called. I'm uncertain. You'll see on the workshop. You'll have a link in the description of this video where you can download it. Anyways. I realized that having 3 Fort SA turrets was just a little bit too expensive, and I'm gonna replace it with a trusty Vigoletta Marksman instead. This is one of our most trusted turrets. It's performed really well, and now I just upgraded it and made a rail assist version, so that now we have the classical Vigoletta, but with some rail charge. So this thing is just... It's like the Vigoletta Marksman, but just much better. So this is a pretty cool turret. It's also 67mm, but now rail assisted, and it's going pretty fast. Like this, legitimately, this turret is better than the unupgraded Fort SAs, which is the other turrets that were there. yeah, well, anyways, we also put some heavy armor on it to make it survive longer. So this is the Vigoletta Inc. Marksman M5A. No, M5A, yes. And now I'm really trying to rail. APS/RA. RA is like rail assisted. So that's kind of how I name things. Well, in any case, this is gonna be saved there to the other ones, and you can clearly see that I've added a lot of turrets since. Yeah, and there we have it. It's cost 40,000, and the Vigoletta previous, it basically is 10,000 materials more expensive to make it rail assisted and a lot faster. And that's what we're gonna swap the middle Fort SA turret with, because, you know, it's much more expensive. You can see here Fort SA. Yeah, what was it? I didn't. Whatever. It's cheaper. That's the purpose of it. It's also a bit shorter, so we have to basically move up the floor a little bit there. But in any case, we have a pretty effective steam engine here. It's an S-Corp. Is that the meat? No, that's the small piston ones. We have a lot of engine power on this thing, naturally. And here we can see I'm actually making a little shield. So this shield is supposed to be on a turret block inside the ship. So it basically switches side manually. Instead of making some fancy ACB breadboard thing like I do today, I basically just made it weird like that. So we're making a little blast shield in the front here with heavy armor there to, you know, you usually face the enemy from the front, and that's basically what we did. We add decos here to not collide with the rotation of the turret, but just to make it nice. But we just want to have a thin little heavy armor layer in the front there, and that basically will catch any early game shots coming at us from the front, since you usually face the nose to the enemy when you spawn in. Very nice, like that. Well, I totally lost the thread somewhere, but yeah, it went really well for us. We were one of the surviving factions, which tells you anything, and we were in the leading, like we had a coalition where all of the leading guys kind of teamed up together, had peace between us, so we could absolutely crush the rest of the factions that hadn't already been crushed. Basically, that's the politics of it. But it worked out. It was great fun. It was really cool to participate in something like that. And big thanks again to Graver, Witch Doctor, and Robot Stellar, because I couldn't have done all of that myself. Like spending all those days in the charts and updating it. Those like Google Docs spreadsheets we got were pretty advanced, man. It was pretty hard to understand what was what, and like we use alloy a bit sparingly because you had to have some extra type of resource to be able to even use alloy. This ship is kind of an exception. A lot of the other ships were not allowed to use alloy. And especially not heavy armor, because you had to have like the pretense resource plutonium or uranium or something to even spawn heavy armor. But this ship was really built for combat. You can see we even have a little air gap there in the golden line of the ship, and we actually have that there to stop heat shells from going right through the upper deck of the ship and killing the turrets. Well, anyways, we're just adding them like decos here, and it looks very splendid. Trying to make some kind of nice thing. So when we have that type of little integrated air gap, if we didn't have that, we could basically get our turrets shot off if you have a very scarily aimed heat shell that comes right in the right angle. There is basically no air gap if you don't have a line like that in the top. Good to know if you were wondering why your turrets sometimes get popped off without you realizing why. Well, I really wanted a nice wooden deck, and we're now adding some extra detection and stuff. Having detection integrated on the turrets is a really good idea, because if the turret heads got hit really bad, you probably don't survive anyways. And if the turret blocks, like turret heads, didn't get hit very bad, it's good to have some detection on them, because of course then it means that you can still see. It is enough that one of the turrets detection is alive and stuff to have some detection. You of course want all of it to make it accurate, but really you just need some of it to make it okay. And you know, this is a cool little hack. You can put trackers or detection on top of the coincidence rangefinders, and they actually connect to stuff. It's a big hack that I learned that saved me a lot of unnecessary connections, basically. Well, we round up the top of the craft a little bit like this, add some extra detection in front. Really big thing to be able to make the shape here nice and cool. We're also really trying to integrate some of this 4-meter offsets, because they happen to be the block in the game that has 25% health bonus, and basically no other block has that. And that 4-meter beam has 20% health bonus, and that has 25, so it's like the best block in terms of that. Yeah, actually having metal offsets, you can make thin sheets of armor, and you're basically having, if they are metal, they are basically the best armor in the game according to its stats. The 4-meter offset of metal specifically. Anyways, we're starting to add on the superstructure, as you can see here. I just realized I wanted a large, cool superstructure in the Ecclesiarchy style. So Army of GMODISM, Sword of the Ecclesiarch is part of the Ecclesiarchy, which is all you YouTube members, by the way, if you don't know that. And the Sword of the Ecclesiarch is basically I'm the Ecclesiarch, so it's my special task force that gets sent out. Look at the little sword in the front, isn't that super cool? You can see that sword right now, and here we have the Sword of the Ecclesiarch logo as well. We're testing the guns a little bit, and oh, it is the Renovatur cruiser, right? Yeah, that's what it says. And it's CL, it stands for, the hull classification numbers is CL, that stands for Cruiser Light. Yeah, and this particular iteration has a beautiful little interior here. You can really see I worked away the beautiful interior. We have guns on the wall, we have chandeliers, we have speaker system, we have the beautiful mascot Eriki, who is protecting the Empire on a poster. Very nice. Clock tower, everything. And it includes decoys in the clock tower, by the way. And that's basically that. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this little project from start to finish. Building the, is it the Renovatur cruiser? I think it is. The Cruiser Light. Hull classification symbol CL, Cruiser Light. And if you want to see more of it, go to the workshop, download it, and please give it an upvote. And yeah, check it out, see what you think of it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this little video, and if you did, you should definitely subscribe if you haven't, and also check out the GMODISM channel for more From the Depth content. That's the one in bronze, click on that. And anyways, this is your host Eric, and I'm signing out, and you should have a very great rest of your day. So, AoG Invictus.